So it wasn't like an act of me prancing or anything. It was just the visualization. It was the head,
and
basically.
I've grown up, just growing up, and I've had friends who were more feminine in class than you know, other you know, people. So we kind of could tell, you know what I mean?
So what the man with the wig is saying that people mistake them for a female, and he just never corrected them. This woman, we was on the streets. She looked like a man. We're like, oh hey brother, like, I'm a woman. I know that's right, sister. You better tell them, honey. Don't let nobody misclassify you just because you look like whatever. She was a rough looking woman working. She was working, cleaning the trash in the street, and she looked very much like a man. She had a do-rag on and some glasses. And we like, oh hey brother, oh no, I'm a woman. I know that's right. You go, sister. You be proud of your womanness. Don't let nobody mischaracterize you. So what the man with the wig is saying, oh, so people just thought I was a female and I liked it. So, and I saw that I got more attention. So I just capitalized on it is what they're saying.
Were taken out of that conversation I had with him, particularly a portion when he was speaking to me about transgenderism. I explained to him my perspective on transgenderism, that it is a mental disorder. Shortly thereafter, RayJ, familiar with RayJ, he is a man of many talents. He's a singer, a performer, an actor, an entrepreneur, a business owner, messaged me on Instagram and said, Candace, I don't feel, and I'm summing up here, I don't feel that you have the full story. I would love to have a conversation and introduce you to someone who may be able to provide you a wider perspective. And I said, let's do it. I'm in LA and we made it happen virtually overnight. So I'm going to allow RayJ to introduce his guest. First and foremost, RayJ, what inspired you to reach out?
Well, first off, just because I've been so involved with the community that we've been doing.
I wonder what she really want to say. Candace, what do you really want to say about RayJ? Okay. He got glasses on. Nigga, you don't wear glasses. What is you doing? What is you doing, first of all? Trying to look smart? Lord Jesus. He a damn fool. And I cannot wait to see the tomfoolery that come out of this.
Not only TV shows, but we just been vibing, and we've been spending a lot of time, and that helped me, you know, educate myself on a lot of new things. And so when I seen the interview, and we've talked before, and we've always been cool, so I think it's always important, if you feel something, to, like, you know, call your people, see if we can sit down, see if we can debate it. Danielle's here, like, she's one of our stars on the new show, The Girls Club, on the Transgenderism Network, and we're going all in on this show. And I just felt like it was perfect timing. I was like, please hit me back, right? And then you're in LA too at the same time. It was meant for us to do it. And so just being, and I told you in the DM, just being educated.
Educated, that was a new word I'd never heard.
And so bridging the gap and getting an understanding, it's always good to talk things through. And so I brought Danielle here because her experience and her life kind of was mixed in with what you were saying, and maybe she can give you a better understanding on what it is, or vice versa, you know. But I wanted to create this synergy so we can all talk together.
Danielle, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Very happy to have you here. Also very happy that you were willing to even have this discussion, because a lot of times you see people that are on opposing sides do not want to speak. And I think that's guided by a lot of fear and sometimes by a lot of cowardice. So Danielle, how did you get mixed in with RayJ, and what made you want to be here today?
Yeah, so I just wanted to double back on that. I fully agree. When Ray and the team called me, obviously the first emotions that go through your head is, oh my God, I'm scared. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. And to be completely vulnerable, I thought I don't want to use the word easy, but for me as a trans person, and I have been for 20 years, there's been so many conversations that I've had worldwide with people. And as like a mature, classy, wise person that I would like to say I am, you understand perspective, and it's all how you come at a conversation. So that's why I agreed to be here, because I was like, I want to do this for me, for the community, and most of all for Ray, Tronics, and the Girls Club, because we have created something really special. So yeah.
Okay, so why don't we just start by telling us a little bit about your story?
Yeah.
So this tranny woman, this is a man. Let's just clarify. This tranny man, I don't care. It's a man. You're born a man. You're a man. You'll never be a woman. Got fake teeth. You don't look happy. You can play happy. You can play like you happy, but the Lord show us the soul, honey. The Lord show us your soul. Anybody looking in the spirit can see that this person's soul is not settled. So you can talk nice and look pretty up the bull all you want to, but these people is not happy. Let's hear what this man got to say. This man with a wig on and teeth got to say.
So I'm from Perth, West Australia, which is
Australia.
Yeah.
What's
up, Australia? AKA the Aussie doll. That's what they call me. Perth, West Australia is the most isolated city in the world. So it's basically on the west, and everything else you would have heard about is on the east. So growing up in Perth, West Australia, it's kind of like a beach town and a mining town. City, sorry. Want to get my words right. And yeah, my experience as being trans dated back to, and I know this is controversial and people are going to be like, when I say it. But the first verbalization of me feeling trans was when I was 4. And my mum told me this when I got older because I'd verbalized to her basically that I was comparing myself to my older sister, and because I have an older sister and 2 younger now, and just feelings and displaying certain things. And I won't obviously get into every detail because I'll try to summarize, but basically growing up in Perth, it was an experience that I had to take on alone. My parents and family were kind of from the country, West Australia, and had no idea about anything to do with trans or the LGBTQ. And we've got to remember, because this was 20 years ago and in Australia, the journey was completely on my own back. So everything that I felt and resonated with, it was up to me to do the research. Everything that I'd seen on the TV was sensationalized and kind of crazy. And we all know, the viewers listening, what I'm talking about, the misrepresentations and things like that. So yeah, it was a very lonely journey. You only have to talk to someone in the community to know that I was a trailblazer for what I did, because I was literally basically the only one for a while doing what I was doing. And yeah, life's been a journey since then, and it still is.
And now, were your parents together?
My parents divorced at the age of 6, and then my mum remarried. And so did my dad. So I've always had like a biological mother and father and 2 step parents.
And how did your parents deal with you? I guess the first question is, when did you first communicate your feelings about your identity, and how did your parents respond to it?
Your liver does more than you think. And with over 500 different responsibilities, it's time we start talking about liver.
So this, and obviously I say this is according to what my mum later told, because to be honest, I don't remember when I was 4. I only have like vivid memories, maybe from 5, 6 up. But basically what it would be is me and my mum were always particularly really close. I just was, always gravitated towards my mum, and my mum's, just everything to me. And she would say that she would just, notice like certain things that were different to the other kids. And when I'd vocalized to her how I felt, and that I kept comparing myself to Ashton, and that's my older sister, and would talk like even about genitalia, which obviously I didn't understand at that time, but I even physically did things to myself that made no sense, kind of like to her, in comparison to why I wasn't like my sister when we'd have bath time and things like that. So that was the first verbalization. And then as I got older, it just got stronger because I was able to verbalize things more. But the interesting thing was, and once again, this is only my experience, and I'm just speaking today from a personal experience of being trans. When I was being really out there with my vocalizations about being trans, all of a sudden, when I had realized in school that it wasn't appropriate to be saying those things, and it wasn't normal, and it was weird, or I could be bullied for it, I completely went the opposite, and I never brought it up again. So that was kind of like late primary to...
When my son was 4 years old, he had like a necklace. Remember, we were sitting in the car. He had to be about 4, maybe 5. He had a necklace on, and he put it on his head like a jeweled necklace. He's like, I want to be pretty like a girl. I'm like, son, you are beautiful as the beautiful young man that God made you. You don't have to be a girl to be beautiful. You're handsome, you're strong as you are. You don't have to be a girl to be beautiful. And I think there is this brainwashing that we uplift girls so much that boys feel forgotten and invisible. So they feel like, oh, I got to be pretty like a girl to be noticed. And then vice versa with girls, when they see boys being uplifted and accepted, then they feel like I have to be a man to be accepted. So it's all a perspective. Because what's so crazy is if your genitalia doesn't make you your gender, why change it? Why, if being a woman, if having a vagina doesn't make you a woman, then why go get one? How does that make sense? These people be confused. I done seen so much confusion. I'm gonna let this go though.
The full high school, it was never a topic to my family ever again until I graduated.
Okay, so a couple of things that I'd like to ask as a follow-up. You answered how your mother felt about it. How did your father feel about it? Because I do think it is relevant that your parents separated when you were 6.
Yeah, for sure. And they obviously separated for their own reasons. My mother explained to me years later when I had the maturity that they got a divorce based on just a complete lack of compatibility, and people got married then just kind of because they had to and popped out a few kids. So they knew that when they divorced that they had to do the best for us. My dad this is what I like to explain to a lot of people, because a lot of people that see men with their LGBTQ children have kind of a femininity to them, or they act in a certain way. My dad is a very staunch Australian. If you've watched Crocodile Dundee, that's the kind of vibe he is. Yeah, like shout out to my dad. He's known as Whitey, the football player in Bunbury. Very, just that alpha male. And the thing is, because I'm going to be honest today, obviously, just to get the story right. Obviously, my dad struggled with it more than my mum. But what later on came in the years, like later on when we conversed, was my dad said his issue was it was never accepting and understanding, because he could see it with his own eyes my whole life, but it was the communication that he lacked on. So he couldn't talk to me how my mum could.
And just a last follow-up question regarding your father. When they got separated when you were 6 years old, was he involved in your life?
Yeah, they went straight to legal, what's the word? Legal, not maintenance.
Where you have to where
like the rights of
you get 3 days and 2
yeah,
days, yeah.
sorry, I can't think of the word, but yeah, they basically did it straight away, that it was by the book. My dad had us every weekend and my mum had full custody for school hours and things like that.
Okay. So RayJ, I want to ask you this because you have young children, I have young children. And so, and I'm glad, Danielle, that you were very honest about the fact that your mother told you that when you were 4, you said this and had done some things. And so she kind of says this is always there.
Parents will lie.
Because I have young children and I know how stupid kids are. And I say that with all love in my heart, but they say ridiculous things all the time. And one of the things that's been concerning to me is to hear so many celebrities try to, I guess, validate the stupidity of children and pretending and going, well, this must be real. Most notably what comes to mind, I believe Charlize Theron had a daughter or a son, but the story goes, one day in the bathtub, my son or daughter looked up at me and said, Mommy, I'm a girl. And that was it. That Charlize Theron then allowed her child to begin transitioning. And that to me sounds like a mental disorder that the parent is suffering for some reason.
Yes.
And a lot of the times I've noticed this trend that it does tend to be single women that sort of encourage this thing. So I'd like to ask you if you have a son.
And a daughter.
And your son's how old?
My son's 4.
Okay, he's 4, perfect age.
My daughter's 6.
If your son was in the bathtub and your son said anything in the bathtub, Dad, I'm a mermaid. Why would you then say, well, this must really mean that my 4-year-old toddler, who also thinks he can fly, who also thinks like Santa Claus is real, I can squeeze down the chimney, why is it this thing that people go, oh, well, this must be a sign that my child's really struggling with identity?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very early. I would say just me being a new parent, right? And what's crazy about the mermaid thing, my son likes to follow his sister, right? He loves her, and whatever she does, he wants to do. Same with me. Back I used to double dutch and jump rope before I, started to hang out with my friends. Just because I wanted to follow my big sister. She got a mermaid outfit. He wanted one, so I got him a mermaid. He wanted to be a merman, but because she was in, she was swimming with the mer. So I'm like, all right, you want to be a merman? Then cool, I'll get you one. But I didn't think of it in the sense of that yet, just because again, they're young and they're learning things as they go.
And
so,
I wanted to piggyback off that as well, sorry to cut you off, that was like a really valid question, but I have to state that with my mum, what she did was, it wasn't a validation of really how I thought and acted on it straight away. My mum was a listener. So my mum never shut me down for the things that I verbalized, but as for like counseling and transition, that was done way later. And that was never to punish me, but it was always like, my mum was like a soundboard, but she never pushed.
Yeah, you
right.
said,
So I think
said
that's
that
important.
You said you kept it quiet.
So the man with the wig saying, my mother never corrected me when I would say stupid shit. It just let me say stupid shit and not correct me. So this is the underlying problem right here. The parenting. There is no parenting. You just letting kids think how they want to think, say what they want to say. And kids, even adults, have to constantly be corrected with the foolery coming out of their mouth. So how much less more than children? So they exposing themselves.
Oh yeah, I totally internalize, because you see what the world says and you're like, oh sugar, this isn't normal, I'll just be quiet.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm trying to say here is that your mother, even now, even if you're older and you make a decision, for your mother to go back into a memory of something that every child goes through, they just say stupid stuff. They want to be mermaids.
Yeah.
They don't even understand. I mean, the first time we watched a Disney movie, my son said, I'm a princess. And I said, no, you're a prince.
Right.
And now you're seeing this sort of people trying to go backwards. And I don't know if they're doing this out of protection or out of love and trying to pretend that they just want to validate the experience that you're having. But I don't feel like, oh, this must be real because you said this started when I was 4.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my head is mommy's got some issues, right? Because it's not like your mother said this, whatever, you were a kid when you were a toddler.
Yeah.
But then I really noticed this thing when you were 18 years old and your brain developed at the age of 26 years old. So that makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I do think, and I do see this pattern of single moms. And also just what you spoke to, you said I had an older sister. This is exactly right. So my daughter is much more of a roughhouser because she's following my son, who is the oldest. So she grabs swords, she wants to fight. Now, I was a tomboy. I went through a phase where I had I think all girls go through this tomboy phase, but I went through a phase when I was in 5th grade and I was acting, I wanted to just play with the boys, thought the boys were having more fun. I just thank God that this wasn't fashionable at the time. And I know that it
definitely wasn't fashionable. Yeah.
But now it's like parents are just like, yay, I want my kid
Yeah.
to be different and I'm throwing them into this.
Right. I want to specify quickly on the 4. I use that specifically when I'm interviewed. Like I said before, I'm going to be really honest. And I use that because that was something that was told to me in a private moment with me and my mum when I was asking her to reflect. But that was just the start. But as you can imagine, there was many other things she started to share with me, like between us, intimate moments of things. Oh, I remember this and that. And that was because I was searching for that truth. And I'm also a very open-minded person. So I wanted to understand myself better. So I get what you're saying, but it's almost like I have to use that as a benchmark. But it wasn't like you said it at 4 and then like we actioned it, or you said it at 4 and then never said it again. That was just the start of what she could remember and then moved forward for years.
Yeah, but even if she's doing that post because she wants to validate the pre, it's still dishonest to me because every parent knows that toddlers just say and do ridiculous things. And so if she's validating that for you now, then my fear is that maybe your mother was validating that for you out of love the entire time. But I want to jump back into your narrative before we talk about those aspects. So you said that when you were in high school, you, I guess, could you just elaborate? I don't know if you were saying like you were trans or started saying some trans things and then people made you feel that you couldn't do that?
It was
or was it middle school?
Yeah, so in Australia, sorry, it's a little bit different. We have primary and high, so I'm not super sure, but we've got like grade 1 to grade 7 and then grade 8 to grade 12.
So how old?
So it would have been from like the age of 10 to like the age of 17, where I was in the moment. But I wanted to clarify that I never used the word trans growing up because I didn't have the education of what that word was. How I identified is that I felt like a female, but I just was aware that that wasn't possible at that time. That's the best way I can put it. I was just like, I'm a girl, but unfortunately that's not matching. And that's just how that's all I can verbalize it as. But the reason why other people caught on to that is because every day of my life, people literally were like, yeah, like she, her, girl. I would cross the street and they would be like, good morning, ladies. And then everyone would laugh. Like it was this known thing that people weren't being like trans or derogatory things at school, but they were literally like, what the hell are you? Without using swear words.
So that's interesting. So why would somebody say good morning girls to you if you weren't presenting as trans?
Because that's what I'm saying, that's how feminine I was.
So you
in
were
literally a school uniform, presenting as me, just like whatever, was perceived by the public as female.
Okay, so I believe that you can be you can act feminine. That I totally believe.
It wasn't really acting because it was a visual response. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the lollipop ladies that I'm not sure if y'all have them in America, like with the sticks, like stop, go. So it wasn't like an act of me prancing or anything. It was just the visualization.
It was real.
It was the head,
and
basically.
I've grown up, just growing up, and I've had friends who were more feminine in class than, you know, other you know, people. So we kind of could tell, you know what I mean?
So with the man with the wig is saying that people mistaked him for a female and he just never corrected them. This woman, we were on the streets. She looked like a man. We're like, oh, hey, brother. She's like, I'm a woman. I know that's right, sister. You better tell them, honey. Don't let nobody misclassify you just because you look like whatever. She was a rough looking woman working. She was working, cleaning the trash in the street. And she looked very much like a man. She had a do-rag on and some glasses. And we like, oh, hey, brother. She's like, oh, no, I'm a woman. I know that's right. You go, sister. You be proud of your womanness. Don't let nobody mischaracterize you. So what the man with the wig is saying, oh, so people just thought I was a female and I liked it. So, and I saw that I got more attention. So I just capitalized on it is what they're saying.
Even at a young age, what people want it to be and what people liked. But I still think even in liking and loving, pertaining to like the job at hand, the execution, being on time, making sure the work is done. I think that's what matters. And I think the privacy of like people's love and affection, sometimes to me is TMI to the job at hand and to what we are and what we're all trying to accomplish in our goals. So,
but I guess my question is, and I'm agreeing with you, actually, we're in radical agreement here because I've gone to school and I've seen boys that are feminine.
Yeah, at a young age.
I didn't graduate with a single trans person. Those people did not decide to go trans now. Obviously, there's been an explosion of the trans agenda. They were just gay.
Yeah,
and so I would like to know, at what point did you go from just being a feminine boy to saying, no, actually, I think it's more than that.
Yeah.
And I am needing to change my life.
Yeah. So like I stated before, it was always the internalized thought process, but just because of my intellect at the time, I didn't know the possibilities of how I could execute it. But the feelings were always there. And I guess that I was hoping when I got older, I would be able to gain more resources and more knowledge, and it could be possible to, you know, match the outside of how I was thinking. But I want to specify that there was gay people in my school, and like y'all both agreed on like feminine gays. And it's so interesting because, and these guys will probably hear this because they're still on my Facebook, but it was so interesting because even in little old Perth, Australia, they still identified and treated these gay boys in my class different to me. I was always on the outer. It was like they were the gays and I was the she. So even then, with no knowledge and no understanding, they were still being like, it's different, because these gay boys weren't like straight gays as we call them. They were feminine gay boys and I was the she. So like, you can imagine that if that was the perception, it was matching what I was feeling, but I just wasn't vocalizing it.
So when did you begin to vocalize that?
I vocalized it when I was 17. I was very blessed in my family that they allowed me to do grade 11 and 12 at Kingsway Christian College. I was kind of like at a point at the school that I went to that was really rough, that I wanted to graduate. And my auntie and like my family were at a local church and they got me into that school, which was really prestigious and stuff. And, you know, I could knuckle down and do my studies and graduate. And throughout that time, and especially being around like devout Christians and going to church and doing Bible study and things like that, I just knew how I felt and knew what I needed to do. So a platform from like literally legal age. So when I graduated in Australia, it falls on you becoming 18. Yeah.
According to a recent report, Planned Parenthood continues to rake in billions despite dwindling clients. The biggest takeaway is that Planned Parenthood is generating vast profits, including millions in taxpayer funding. With preborn, you're actively trying to steal their clientele, meaning to rescue the babies that they are attempting to kill. Preborn operates in a very slim budget, rescuing over 200 babies' lives every single day with no government funding. Preborn's network of clinics are situated in the darkest corners of the nation, competing head-to-head with the abortion giants, and they need our help now more than ever. When you donate $28 to Preborn, you will offer a free ultrasound to an expectant mother that is caught in a crisis. Because when she hears that heartbeat and sees that precious life, her baby's chance at life doubles. So sponsor a precious baby's life today. Your tax-deductible gift will go directly towards saving a baby's life. You just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby. Or you can head to preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. So I'm going to cut to you, RayJ, because we've all been 17 before. We've all been teenagers. I would almost say that you could qualify the teenage experience as just an identity crisis, like one long identity crisis. You're trying to figure out literally who you are.
Yeah.
That is what adolescence is. And that's why I say, quite jokingly, but kind of also seriously, bring back cigarettes, because now there are just an explosion of children who think they're non-binary, think they're transgendered. No matter how you estimate it, you know that there were not this many people that were struggling, and they didn't all become transgendered. And so it is, part of this is becoming a contagion, social contagion. Social contagion is real, right? So if you see me smoking cigarettes, everybody started smoking cigarettes. I mean, that was the reason why cigarettes got popular, because
But
on a
sometimes when you
poster.
hit the cigarette and you try to smoke it, you can't inhale it, so you cough like.
Yeah, but we stomped out cigarettes. So there used to be, the majority of people in America were smoking cigarettes, and it was because of advertising, right? So people were looking, the doctors were telling them it was healthy.
Smoke on the plane.
Exactly. So that used to be a thing in America. And then dial it back, they did the exact thing, reverse marketing. And we were suddenly learning in school, everyone did the DARE program, and they kind of stomped out cigarette smoking.
With the dog.
Yeah, they kind of stomped out cigarette smoking in America. And that's actually a joke that Europeans make. Americans don't smoke cigarettes. And so we know that advertising works. We know.
When I did this driving job for kids, driving kids to school, there was a 12-year-old tall little girl. I under the name of a boy. I thought it was a boy, but it's a tall girl. She's about 12 years old, but she had to be like 5'10". She was 12. She had to be like 5'10", tall female. And so, this little girl is identifying as a he. So we got to talking. The little girl got to talking, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my partner is identifies as a she, and but it gets a little confusing. It gets confusing for even us. What? Also, in a single mother household, only child. Don't know that woman is screwing up that little girl before she even gets a chance. Confused. And all you can hear and see is demons. Say, we are they, them. Yeah, you know what they, them is? I'm going to end with this, actually. And I'm going to get back to this. But in the Bible, where the man is possessed, and the Bible says, demon, who are you? And the demon says, legion, for we are many. And then he tells the demons to go off into the pigs, and the pigs jump off the cliff. That's exactly the demons we are dealing with. People want to be called they, them. You're dealing with multiple demons. We got enough going on just by ourselves, okay? I have enough going on, just my own demonic thoughts and feelings, okay? Never mind taking on hundreds of thousands of they demons. Oh no, it's crazy. Like she said, it's an advertisement telling these kids, brainwashing, and I think a lot of it is run by pedos. It's a brainwashing by pedos. So many more people are pedos than we're willing to accept or believe in these industries, in this entertainment industry, which we see it, these directors in these movies, and we see it, people in these shows. You hear the horror stories of the children and their experiences with these people running the entertainment industry. It's very strategic. So if people don't think it's ooh, Lord have mercy, help the children, Lord help the children. All I got to say about that. I'm gonna watch the rest of that later, because that's a lot. That's some good stuff. But yeah, tune in, come back and tune in and watch the rest. And next time I do this, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, folks. Blessings.